Hello everyone, I'm Ceira, a pet animal portrait artist, and today we're going to be working on this lion cub again. So this is part 2 of this graphite tutorial. All of the materials I use will be down in the description, and the line art and the reference photo are linked in the description of the first part of this tutorial. So if you haven't seen part 1, I suggest you go and watch that one first and get both of those. Anyway, let's get right into it. Okay, so I have had a bit of a look at this while I was away from the second part of the tutorial. Apologies, it's been so long, and I just noticed that the corner of this eye was a bit too round. So I'm just taking my black Polychromo. I noticed it when I was editing the last part of the last tutorial. So we're just going to make it a bit more triangle, like the reference. We still want it a little bit round. And then we are going to be taking the Tombo eraser just to clean up that white bit around the eye again. And then finishing it off with the black Polychromo. And that is, you can see. And then just clean it up a bit, because you don't want it to be too pointy, but at the same time you don't want it to be too rounded. You're trying to find the nice balance in between. We kind of rubbed out the outer section of that eye a little bit, but that is okay. Just gonna go in and fix that. And then I'm just going to go around the bottom edge and just darken it up a bit more. Making sure that this bit down here is nice and rounded still. And then finally, to do the last bit of cleanup, we are taking the Luminance white and just cleaning up that bit there. That has gone a bit far in the eye. Like so. Because we want to maintain that very nice round shape that we've got, if that makes sense. And you're just going to do this until you're happy with the final shape. Okay, so I've adjusted my eye to the point where I'm happy with it. You just do that with yours. But now let's actually properly get into it and start working on some new stuff. I'm very excited for this. So I've got my, can you see it there? It's unfocused. Anyway, my 6H pencil. I really like this pencil. It's nice and light, but you just want to have it nice and sharp. Okay, so like I was saying last video, all of the fur and everything that I've drawn looks a lot darker on camera, so it might look like we're going too dark, but when I show you the final results at the end, and when we finish it, it definitely won't be too dark. It's just because the paper's white, so it looks very dark in comparison to it at the moment. Okay, so I think we're going to start off by just darkening this bit of fur here and that line which we have again. So as you can see on the reference photo, there's quite a dark line against this white strip here. So I just want to really be adding that in. And again, little short hair strokes. There's quite a bit that we want to darken this time, so the darkness kind of comes out There's a splotch of darkness here. So we're just going to darken that. And then we want to kind of blend out that darkness into the bit that we've already got. So I'm just using light with my 6H pencil, light little strokes. Just want to make sure my camera's in focus. Okay. And as you can see, there's a bit that goes quite dark here as well. So it's just kind of about blending all of that together. And that goes like darker, and then we have that bit that comes up to it. But we're going to want to darken this whole patch very slightly, even if we're not darkening it too much. But there are some very dark bits in it, and then there's a very dark bit that comes off here. And it's really, it looks way too dark at the moment, but I promise you it is not, and it will all come together. Okay, so now we're just going to grab our cotton bud and blend that out like we did last video, just for a bit more softness, because we're really going for softness in this piece. And as you can see, that makes it look quite a lot lighter than what we've put down. So I think next we're going to add this bit up here that's quite dark. We're still using our 6H, so even though we're adding in darkness, we're not going in too dark because we are still using a very light colour pencil. So there's this strip here which is darker, and then there's the bit at the top, if you see what I mean. So we're just going to be adding that in. You want to be following the fur direction this whole time, and because the fur is quite short, that's why we're using our very short strokes for it. Now we're just going to bring up some fur a bit more. We're kind of like expanding off the edge, if that makes sense. And then we're just going to blend that. And then I'm just going to bring in our Tombo mono eraser, because there is a bit of lightness between those two bits, so I'm just going to add that back in and then keep going on that bit at the top, which I think we are going to have to get a darker pencil for at some point. But for now, we are just going to leave it like so. So I think the next bit I think we should work on is these lines that we've got in these areas. So we've got a gap, and then we've got like a line of darkness here. And I think we're going to add that in. I'm using extremely light pressure here. Trying not to make an indent on the skin of a tomato. It's the reference I used last video, and I think it's a very helpful one. Don't want to darken up that line. As you can see, as you're adding in the darkness is when it really does start to come together. And then we've got a little bit further down here. It's a bit shorter and it's not as dark, and then we've also got a little kind of diagonal line that also comes down. It's quite dark, and then we've got a bit here which is darker, and we're just kind of adding in all of these dark areas. They look quite very dark in contrast at the moment, but we can sort that out later. So I'm just gonna blend all of those lovely bits in. Now we are going to be working off this bit here. I'm just gonna grab my Kneadable eraser dab lightly to get any extra pigment off the page from the line art. And then the fur here goes out in that sort of direction and blends into that bit there. And this is very light fur, so we're just going to do this very, very lightly. We're just going to want to sort of trying to blend it upwards and outwards into just going like that. And these hairs here are really, really short. So I am just trying to keep my short strokes, which is very difficult when you're working on a piece quite small. I am working on this piece, a 5x7 piece, so very, very small, which makes it a bit more difficult, but it's okay. Right, so now we've kind of got that bit out there, we're just going to blend it with our Q-tip. A lot of these light layers will just be blending and just layering quite lightly. I think when we get to the body, it will look like we've done a lot more because we'll be able to work quite a bit faster. Whereas here we this is the focus of the piece, the eyes, near the eyes. So we do just need to take our time building up those layers. So I'm just adding in this darkness. Like so. And then I'm just going to lighten those ones we did earlier. Not the really dark bit, but just those ones we did earlier and that one there. Just very slightly like so. And then we're just going to go back in and a bit further out this time. I'm just darkening up that one up there. Now, lion's fur is quite complicated. It's very, very, very complicated around this area here. It goes in sort of every direction. So we're just going to be doing it bit by bit. And as you can see, like this bit here, it's actually quite difficult to see some of the direction. So that's why I'm kind of trying to plot some bits around it so we can figure out which way it's going to end up needing to go in the end. Now, I know something that we can definitely plot in is this right here. This is going in a upwards, it's going at kind of that sort of angle. And I think plotting that darker line in is going to be very helpful. So I'm trying to plot that in here. And it doesn't go up. It goes up to sort of about there. And we will be darkening this later on because it looks not very distinct at the moment, but we'll be using a sharper pencil later on to work on that. See, way around. As you can see, on this side of it is where the hair starts to go that way. This side of it is kind of going that way. So that's why I've just plotted that in, because it's sort of where the hair is like meeting, if that makes sense. I'm just going to lighten it a bit because it is a bit thick. Like so. And then we're just going to try and... We need a sharper pencil really, so I'm just going to try and sharpen this. Okay, so I've tried to sharpen it. It didn't work amazingly well, but we've got to deal with it. I'm just trying to put it right in the middle of that line, like so. Now, around that line, if we just take out a bit of the line drawing, we have quite a dark bit here. So I'm just going to try and sketch that in a bit. Now, it is looking the same shade as the line currently. It is meant to be darker, the line. But we are going to be working on that, so we don't need to worry about it at this second. Now, if you can see this bit here, which we've drawn, extends and joins onto that in a dark manner. Sort of like so. It's looking quite funny because we haven't got any of it blended or anything like that. Once it's all blended, it will look a lot better. And then we have got another very light bit above here. We're just gonna add in. We're gonna add in like that. We are gonna get blending. Gonna blend it a bit. And then we are going to take this and pull out just a bit like that. And then from this bit here, again, it's another very light area, so we're just going to use the same technique. Just sketching it in. And we just want to be very careful about what direction we're doing this in. Like so. Then we're gonna blend. And I think this bit down here needs to be more upwards facing. Like so. But it has gone a bit dark there. So we will just take it back out again with a Kneadable eraser, like so. Right, now I'm thinking our next best bet to kind of figure out this is going to be to try and get this bit in here, and then we can kind of leave this bit till last. So we're just going to lighten our sketch. And it has been ages and we look like we've done nothing, so, you know, that is always good. Because it's been, I don't even know how long. It has been almost half an hour and it doesn't look like we've done very much at all. But hey ho, it's okay. Now this bit on the lion, as you can see, is a lot lighter, and I'm presuming this is because the fur is more white around the muzzle area. So this is just going to be, like before, a very, very light. And we're sort of just sketching in the vague direction at the edges, like this. And like, as you can see, it kind of curves around. It kind of curves around. So we are just going to want to put that in the drawing as well. And we're going to lighten this a lot with our Kneadable eraser. Because, like I said, it's very, very light. And it looks dark in comparison to that area. In reality, it's lighter than that area. So that just proves to me that we are going to have to darken that in a bit. Which I did already know, but kind of just reinforces it. Right, so we're just paying very close attention here. And I'm just doing tiny short strokes. And then I think we're just going to fill in this bit. like so. So that is the hair direction that we've got going on. Now we need to lighten it because it is looking like those dark areas, and we do not want it to look like those dark areas quite yet. Okay, so we're just going to lighten it up like so. I think it'll really help if we can get the darkness of the mouth added in a bit, so I might do that in a second. Right, so there, like you can see, it looks like it's barely there, which is what we want for this part. We want it to look like we've barely added any pigment to the paper. I'm just going to blend it. Perfect. Now I think what I'm just going to do really quickly is we're going to start off with our 2B, and we're just going to try to add in a bit of the thing. As you can see, when you're working quite small, it is very, very difficult. But I'm just trying to add the darkest part, and then we can, it blends out under here, and we can do that after. And then this bit up here, it's got a thing that comes off here, but this bit here is actually the mouth. Now, for the mouth, I have like a sort of a technique. I kind of do like little hairy details to show that the hair above and below is coming off of it. But I don't actually think the mouth itself is hairy, so you just want to be very careful. I'm always doing like little dots here at the moment. Sort of like little dots, just like little quickly shady bits. But it does always look quite funny at first. It looks like, you know, the childhood drawings I did when I'd just do bloop, bloop, bloop for the nose and the mouth. Which isn't entirely wrong, because I was obviously trying to represent this part of it, which I'm doing now. And then over here, this bit is usually always thicker. I'm just gonna rub that out a bit. Considering I'm only using a 2B, this is actually quite dark. I'm not pressing that hard either. Then for that side, just wanna but yes, it always looks quite funny at this stage, I think. And then, while we're at it, we might as well just thicken it up a bit. Because it is definitely thicker in that area. And then just add in that bit here, because why not? While we're here, we might as well. It's looking very, very dark. Which is okay, because this part is supposed to look quite dark. But it shows you how, even though we thought we did that bit up there quite dark, the reality is it's not, so it does need darkening. It does need darkening quite a bit. So now we're just going to take our 6H, and the lightest bit seems to be there, so I'm just going to take the 6H and just blend it into the line we've just drawn a bit. Because the muzzle, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not sure if it's called that on a lion, to be honest. Whatever it is darker around this bit. So, but it's looking quite harsh at the moment, so we are just gonna blend that out like so. And while we're at it, we might as well just show very lightly that the same kind of thing is happening on the other side. Apologies, I just moved the whole table. But this line isn't going to look as funny when we actually get this bit down here done, I think. So I think that will be alright. For now, it's just kind of trying to get the fur direction in. So I think even though this is quite a small piece, it's meant to be quite soft. It's my first tutorial, so it's taking it takes me a lot longer when I talk, I suppose, because I'm not entirely used to it. But B, we just want to make sure we're getting it right, and the fur direction is one of the most important parts of that. So if there's any part we want to be getting right, it's going to want to be this bit. Like I said, lions do have very complicated fur direction on their face, so it'll be a lot more of a breeze when this face is done and out of the way. So as you can see, what we can do now is we can just start to attach bits like I was talking about. So we can start to attach bits like this, and then under the eye comes out like that. Then we have quite a dark bit that attaches onto this muzzle. I think I'm using the 6H now, yeah. I just had to twizzle around my pencil and double check that I was using the right colour for this. It's very weird though, because it kind of offsets, if that makes sense, which I haven't really shown properly here. So I'm just gonna kind of and do that to help show like that. And what we can do to help us with this bit down here is, once we got the fur texture in, we'll go back in with the dark colour, bring it up into it, and also sometimes if we can get our white sharp enough, that can look quite good as well, so that can be quite helpful. So I think that will be the plan of action. Just trying to leave that bit there, under there. Quite dark. And then I don't want to come too far up on here, because that's when we start messing with the fur direction. So I think we'll just blend that out. And leave it like that. I think this part of the tutorial will end up being longer than the first part, perhaps, but that is okay. Just want it to look like we've actually got more done this time and not just left it the same. Okay, so now we're going to start working on this bit under here. You know what, I'm actually just going to and just lightening up my sketch. Now it kind of goes from that direction to that direction, so we're just kind of doing the transition as we go around. And of course, as you can see, this bit I'm working on here, this dark bit needs blending out a lot more into it, as you can see, but that's okay. Now for this bit, the strokes I'm using aren't straight, they're kind of like little curvy shapes, but like not too curved. They're very, very slightly curved. And that's just because of the hair here being slightly curved in its direction. So sometimes you'll need the straight strokes, but sometimes you will need to add a bit of curve to different places on your drawing. gonna kind of goes like that. Now I don't know if you can tell, but on this bit my strokes are slightly longer, and that is because the hair on the chin is slightly longer, so I am just using a bit longer strokes, but there's barely any difference between them, to be honest. They're only minimally longer. Right, so now we're coming into the bit where it's starting to curve. So then it's kind of that bit there which goes up. And now we can tell already that this bit does need a lot more work than I've put in there. And it's looking quite dark at the moment, just because of how it is. But that's why you have to darken the rest of the drawing, because this bit is actually probably the right shade, to be honest. It just looks very dark compared to the rest of the drawing. Now I'm just taking some of this by here and trying to extend it out a bit. So I'm doing this with the lighter colour first, because it will give us a bit more of a gradient, if that makes sense, than just going in straight away with the darker colour to blend that all out. And then over here it needs to come out a lot more, so I'm using a bit more pressure now to do this bit. You would be seeing this on the skin of a tomato. And now we've got whiskers, but I think we will fix those and add those in at the end. But I do just want to add this other little dark bit that comes up here. This bit is quite dark, so I am just letting myself make it a bit darker because it is quite dark. And then it's a bit more curved than that, so I'm just gonna curve it like so. And then using that we can play in all of this hair in this gap here. And so we're just gonna be doing that. We're just going to start off doing it extremely lightly for now. It's better to have it too light than too dark in these very beginning stages anyways. I'm just using the more curvy hairs in this bit, where they get a bit longer. Okay, we are going to need to blend that out with the cotton bud. Like that. And that is looking very nice, I think. I think we're just going to carry on. Doing this where it gets to the thicker bit. Now, if it was a lot bigger, the Tombo mono would be very useful to us, but we can try it to add some fur texture in, but because the drawing is quite small, I don't know whether it is going to work the best. We can always see though. But for now, we're just going to have it like that. Okay, so now I'm just going to add some more darkness into these bits here. So there's a big dark bit that comes up there, like in there, like so. Now I think take the Tombo mono and do what I said. We're gonna try. But it's not gonna work too well, because of how, or I keep on putting my head in the light, I apologise, I keep on going like that, and it's actually putting my head in front of the light. I didn't realise that, I apologise everybody. It didn't work too well. So, we're just going to blend that back out and leave it for now. I think what I'd also quite like to do is, I'm going to take a bit darker of a pencil. So this is a 4H. And we're going to start to add some of these light spots in. So the ones at the bottom are very light. They're not very noticeable. And then the ones up here are kind of like darker, more noticeable. And then I think if we just blend that out with the thing, I'm going to blend that out quite a lot. And it's just kind of like simulating some of that. Now I think we are going to go back in with our 2B, because this bit does need some blending in it, into the, more so into the bit fur below. So I'm just going to go back in, kind of add the line that we had back in. Like so. And then it's just a case of, I think we've done that bit. So we're just darkening up this bit, and then we have got the little like mouthy bit that comes, like the little bit that needs blending further down into this, like so. And then over here, I'm just gonna add some bigger strokes. I mean, just gonna, we are just balancing it out with our Tombo mono still. And then, like I said before, we're just gonna go up into that hair, and it creates quite a nice bit. And then the Tombo mono we're just going to be using in this bit here, because the mouth goes kind of thinner. Like so. Then I think next we're gonna get the black Polychromo, because some of this is darker, because like where it's the actual mouth compared to where it's the hair, it's coming out of the mouth. So I'm just gonna do that bit, and then clean it up. It's looking quite nice now. Now, part of me now saying that we've got the thing done, I think we should do some of the chest fur instead of completing the whole of the head first. So I'm just gonna go have a quick think and decide which part to do next. I think that the neck, we are gonna add just a bit fur direction into there today. My plan for this bit is to go and have a look at a closer look at the reference photo off camera before the next part, so we'll be doing that in the next part, hopefully, if I remember to do that. And just to make it feel like we've done a bit more, because it doesn't feel like we've done very much so far, but I think this bit I'll go away and I'll draw little arrows on my reference photo, which I've got over there, and then if I draw little arrows on the reference photo, we know well, I know, so that I can tell you correctly which way the fur direction is, because as you can see it is quite hard to see. So I think we will do that, but for now we are going to get working on the chest fur, which I am very, very excited for. So I think we'll start off with our 6H like we always do. Before we do that, we're just gonna lighten up the sketch a bit and then start going in. Now by the neck there is quite a big shadow here. The hair's going in this direction. As you can see, we're using the sort of curved strokes. Which look a bit funny when you do your first layer of them, but when you get them building up like this, they end up looking quite lovely. And then we've also just got, I think we're just gonna try and get some good fur direction in. See, this is why I said I was gonna like doing the neck a bit, because it's not so tedious and it doesn't require as much thinking from my brain, which sounds bad, but it's just more relaxing, I suppose, if that makes sense. I am just building up that bit quite dark. I'm not really worrying about it too much currently. And then I think if we just add some of the darkness here so we can see where the face is now. This fur here is pointing in that direction. I'm just going to draw it in that direction. It probably will need lightening at a later point, but that is okay. Right, so kind of here, I'm just trying to figure out the face shape, so it kind of comes down and is quite square. I don't know if it's that square though. I think we just need to bring it in a bit more there. Yeah, we're just gonna leave it like that for now and add some more fur direction. I think we will lighten this with our Tombo Mono, not Tombo Mono, our Kneadable eraser after this, just because the rest of it is quite light still, and so we don't want to have this looking really dark yet if the rest of it isn't, if that makes sense. We kind of want to do it all at the same sort of time. I'm really liking that, yeah. This was definitely the move to go. We might extend it down a bit further, just that it's not looking quite as drastic. That fur up there does kind of just go a bit like that, upwards. I can sort of predict now the direction of the hair, just because I'm so used to drawing. And that is something which does come with drawing a lot, is you are able to predict more of the like hair directions and whatnot. But of course you do want to just check back with the picture to double check every so often. As you can see, I am using longer strokes here, and that is because the fur on the neck is less rigid. It's a lot more flowy, if that makes sense. and we'll worry about adding in highlights in this bit and darkness in this bit a bit later on. Now we just want to, I was just trying to pay close attention to what each of these lines are that I've got on the line art. So I think that is the area that it first goes into darkness. And that line there is the dark strip across. And then it flays out to here. Which is kind of in line with that one. And then we just need to connect all of that hair direction together. I think once we blend this part, it's going to be looking really good. And you can already see that the eyes look a bit more in proportion now, and everything falls into place a lot more when you actually get into the drawing a bit. Now, this does look like I'm drawing it quite dark, but like I said, we are going to lighten it. I don't actually draw in graphite very often, so this is also a learning experience for me. Usually I work in colour pencils, which has a lot of the same principles. There are some things that I prefer about graphite, and some things I prefer about colour pencil. I love how easy you can rub graphite out and blend it. Oh! Now occasionally that will happen. There we go. Like it was never even... I think I've just got a bit too long stroked. So I am just going to cut down my strokes a bit. I also haven't done any base layers for this one. I'm going in with the graphite straight away. With my colour pencils I do quite often. I didn't used to, but I do now. Use pan pastels for the underlayer. They just help things look finished more quickly, and I can spend more time working on the details and less time sort of like filling in the teeth of the paper, if that makes sense. So I do quite like those as well. Now this transition here is quite rigid. I want it to be more soft and blended. This is definitely going to need blending and lightening. I don't know why, the camera always makes everything look a lot less blended. Like in real life this is looking quite furry, but on the camera it's looking like you can see the ends of all the strokes. And I'm not sure why that happens. But yeah, if yours seems to be looking softer than mine, that would be why. Mine does, I'd argue, mine does look quite soft right now, but the camera just doesn't pick it up very well. That's okay. Okay, I did kind of do quite a bit there. As you can see, there are some shadows in there which we don't actually want, but we're just going to lighten the whole thing up a bit. We kind of want it just at the moment to be quite an even tone. And this part might not end up being longer than the first one actually. I thought it might do, but I'm not sure now. Right, on camera that does not look very light at all, but on earth, look at that. Lovely. On camera, still looking very dark, but in real life it's looking very light, so oh, dearie me. I'm just gonna blend it now, because I need to get some of that softness back. I wasn't sure about how I was liking how the drawing looked at the end of the last video, but I'm quite liking it now. It just shows that drawings can kind of go through their ugly stages, you know. Just blending that out a lot. And it's looking dark because the dark areas are nowhere near dark enough yet. But I didn't want to lighten it too much. Now I think we are just going to add some of that one back in, just so we've not taken away all the dimension completely. And this is the part of drawing that I love. The layering and all of that. Now what I am going to do, so I'm just going to soften up strokes by the jawline a lot. That's looking quite nice now. That bit of like just very subtle texture and darkness, which we're just adding in. We can see it, there's a bit there. A bit of darkness there. We just want to start subtly adding it in, I suppose. And up here, the fur's a lot darker, so when we add that in it will be darker than this bit, hopefully. We'll make it darker. I'm really enjoying this so far though. I don't do very many originals, and doing one as a tutorial sort of gives me an excuse to do a drawing as an original. I have got a couple others that I need to do as well, but I'm just going to do some chatty draw with me's over those. Because those aren't really tutorial ones, they're just ones that I'm working on at the moment. I'm really loving that softness, but I do just want to add a teensy bit more. So I think when we get the face out of the way and all we're working on is this, we're going to get a lot more done very quickly. Because literally we've done like double what we did in the last video. So I reckon this is going to have quite a lot of parts, and most of them are going to be working on the face. But I think when we get onto this bit and we get onto the body, it's going to be very fun. I think even though I've said I think you can even tell that I prefer doing this bit. I just love the flowiness and all of that. And it also brings out it, like, this shows that this bit is light, whereas it looked dark earlier because it was like against the backdrop of the paper. So yeah, I'm loving this right now. I do jump around a lot, don't I? Oh. I've been working on this about an hour. I don't know how much it will cut down to when I'm drawing. It'll probably be similar to the last one. But I think we are going to... I'm quite happy to leave it here. I'm quite happy to leave it like this. So I think we are going to just leave the drawing like this for now and carry on in some other parts. But considering we're on part 2, we're going to have a lot of parts of this, but I don't want to make each individual video too long for you all to watch, so you can have a bit of a break in between them. But yeah, I really hope you all enjoyed the second part of this Lion Cub graphite tutorial. I had lots of fun drawing this, and I hope to see you in the next few parts as well. Thank you for watching, everyone. Have a lovely day, everyone. Bye!